Alright, so it's now the 9th of June, and in about 3 weeks, on the 30th of June, I will be relaunching Productivity Lab. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to share all the things that I do in preparation for a launch and how I kind of market the product and rebuild the product to ensure the product's actually kind of good and that we actually make a good number of sales as well. So yeah, I'm going to be sharing the journey, sharing the conversations that I'm having, sharing some of the work that I'm doing on a day-by-day basis, and hopefully this will culminate in a pretty good sales day on the 30th of June. Okay, so it's now 10 a.m. and I'm currently in the middle of a conversation with Charlotte, Katie and Kaylin, and we're going through the learning design and course program for Productivity Lab. So originally this was a live cohort thing run by Ali Abdal, and we're turning this into a 12-week self-serve program essentially with facilitator sessions on top of that too. So we'd have like a 2-hour journaling workshop with one of our productivity coaches, and there'd also be some kind of live element too. So if people don't want to do a self-serve, they can sort of go through the course alongside someone else or within the group too. So in this session, we're essentially like redesigning or rejigging this whole live program into a 12-week self-serve program and thinking about like the inputs and learnings, what the workshop's going to include, what people will be able to like do, like what the transformation is after every single session, and also what is like the emotional journey that we're taking people through. So it's very much like a brainstorming session today, and hopefully by the end of today we can have a very clear plan of action as to what we need to implement before the end of the month. I spent the last few years working with some of the world's biggest creators, helping them to build and launch like products, digital products. And I think I've done a reasonably good job of it in the sense that I've helped those creators to generate hundreds of thousands in revenue. So I kind of want to take things to the next level by scaling up my own business, hiring my own team, and using YouTube as a way to document this journey, sharing the things that I do well and also the things that I do less well as well. So I'll tell you more about the business at some point, but today I've really been focused on nailing down the target audience and the value proposition for the business, which has taken a surprising amount of time. And one thing I always do at this stage of creating a product or business is to think about Alex Hormozi's problem solution analysis framework, which he talks about in the book $100 Million Offers. So if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it because it's a really, really solid read. But the broad idea here is that you think about your target audience and all the potential pain points and problems that they have, and you write those things in a long list. So let's say the business or the product is helping people to lose weight. One of the problems could be, I don't know how to find healthy food. Or another problem could be, I don't know how to create a workout plan that I'm going to stick to. Like, you can think of loads and loads of different products. Then for each of those problems, you sort of rewrite those problems as solution-oriented language. So if the problem is, I don't know how to find healthy food, then the solution-oriented language would be how to easily find healthy food. And then for each of those things, you write down a list of potential solutions. So for the solution-oriented language of how to easily find healthy food, you could say, I would go to your house, I will walk you around the supermarket, and we'll pick out all the healthy food together. Or it could be, I will give you a Google Sheet, you type in your macros, and it'll automatically pump out a whole meal plan and a shopping list for that meal plan as well. And then you narrow down all of those things by what is going to be high value and low cost. So if I were to go to your house, walk you around the supermarket and pick out the healthy food, that's super high value, but it's also super high cost. So we would discount that thing. Whereas if it's a Google Sheet, where just you put in the macros and it pumps out the shopping list, that's also high value, but also particularly low cost. So that would be a potentially good solution. So I've been essentially doing exactly the same thing for my business to work out exactly what I want to offer potential clients. And I'm just going to continue doing that now for the next couple of hours until around 11:30, maybe midnight. And once I've wrapped up the value proposition, I'm probably just going to go to sleep and continue building out the business plan in the morning. One thing I always think about at this stage of the business is how can I make this business into a thing that's going to hold up long term, like it's going to be successful over the long term. And there's really like 5 criteria that I think about, which comes from the Millionaire Fastlane book, which is essentially the commandment of need, the commandment of entry, the commandment of control, the commandment of scale, and the commandment of time. And the broad idea is that the commandment of need is that we need to build a business which serves a particular need. Like, we can't be chasing money, we can't be chasing glory or anything like that. We need to be solving a particular problem. And that's the whole point of me doing the problem solution analysis framework that I've been doing over the last 24 hours or so. It's so that I am solving a particular need. The command of entry is about ensuring there is at least some degree of a barrier to entry to the business that we're creating. Like, if we are just building a business where we are, I don't know, making social media content for a company, like, the barrier to entry for that kind of company isn't that high. So, anyone could do that thing. Whereas if we were to create a car manufacturing company, like, clearly the barrier to entry for that thing is like really, really high. So we want some amount of barrier to entry so like not everyone can flood that same market and do the same things that we're trying to do. The command of control is about ensuring that we have control over the money that's coming into the business. So if we're just like generating money through affiliate income or through sponsorships, we don't have like a high degree of control there because those people, those like companies can stop that cash flow at any point. Whereas if we are building our own thing and like finding our own clients, then we have a lot more control over the money that we're making. The fourth thing is the commandment of scale. So that's about ensuring the business that we're creating has opportunity for scalability and like the foundations are in place for that business to scale. And finally, the commandment of time is about ensuring that we are sort of detaching the amount of money that we make from the time we put into the company. And this is exactly what I was talking about in the last video, so if you haven't checked that out, then I highly recommend you do. So yeah, whenever I'm building a business, I like to ensure it meets these 5 criteria before I go through and actually start building the thing. I mentioned the other day that we are currently preparing for a relaunch of a product. So it's full steam ahead on getting through all these like various different tasks that I've got planned out. I've been smashing through them for the last couple of days, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of a sneak peek into the timeline or Gantt chart for this particular project. So you can see kind of the sort of things I'm thinking about behind the scenes. Luckily, about 90-95% of it's already set up, but there's still like a good chunk of stuff to do before the launch itself. So yeah, let me show you. All right, so I don't know how well you can see this, it's pretty small, but basically, these are all the tasks that I am doing over the next few days in preparation for this launch. So you can see there's still a whole heap of things to do. This is only about 2, 3, 4, maybe 5% of all the tasks that I've been focusing on over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, most of it is in progress or has been delegated. But essentially, I'm working on like things like the sales page and the email sequence. Like we have a 10-day email sequence leading up to the launch itself. Thinking about like collecting testimonials and the affiliates and referral systems, setting up the discounts, any of the operational back-end tasks, and also preparing for the quarterly review on Sunday. So the quarterly review is essentially what we're going to use to kickstart and launch the product at 5 p.m. So during the actual webinar itself or the workshop itself. So yeah, like you can see how super varied and interesting this sort of work is. Like there's like so many different things for me to think about and work on, and I just love how varied this sort of work actually is. Like I'm not just crafting or creating the product, I'm thinking about the marketing, I'm thinking about the operations, I'm thinking about the back end and the front end of the product. So yeah, there's like loads and loads of things for me to do, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Quick update, we are now 2 days out from launch and I'm finishing up the final few touches for everything that needs to be done before Sunday. And I've got a testing session later today to make sure everything's functioning as expected. I've been setting up Spiffy, which is our checkout system, setting up all the discounts, making sure they work. I've also finalized the post-launch email sequence, which is basically the emails that we're going to be sending after we open the checkout to hopefully bring in a few stragglers who don't buy the product within the first like 24 or 48 hours. And so yeah, like it's pretty much good to go. So I'm super excited to see how things sell on Sunday at 5 p.m. once we go live. If any of you guys are wondering what I actually mean by testing, it largely means making sure the onboarding flow for a new customer is working as intended. And so there are like a bunch of steps that make up the onboarding flow. It's not as easy as just someone purchases it and then things are done. Like there's a whole bunch of automations and things that need to happen on the back end to make sure everything works as intended. So obviously everything starts with the student purchasing the thing via Spiffy, which is our checkout platform. And we have like 2 or 3 different checkouts active. So that means that this whole process needs to be duplicated like 2 or 3 different times. But once the person purchases it on Spiffy, then they have to have some things happening within HubSpot, which is our CRM. Then emails need to be triggered and also enrollment forms need to be sent as well. And then depending on whether they complete the enrollment form or they join Circle, other things are triggered too. So this is like a very simplified model of everything that needs to happen. But of course, there's like a whole ton of various automations that are happening on the back end for each of these different steps. So it's a pretty tiring process, but it's also something that we need to get right, because if something does break, then it's going to lead to a lot of headache and a lot of emails being sent by our students as well. So yeah, we kind of want to avoid that because it will lead to a whole ton of manual work having to fix things, and it also makes us look a little incompetent too if, you know, they buy the product and then they don't have access to the things that they have purchased. So I'm going to continue doing this essentially for the rest of the day now, and at 3 p.m. when the webinar is live, we should be good to go. That will mean I can focus all my energy on making sure the webinar goes smoothly, such that when the checkout opens at 5 p.m, we can make a whole ton of sales.
Welcome to the quarterly alignment workshop, where we're going to reflect on the last 90 days, and we're going to be setting some goals for the next 90 days.
Oh, damn, I really timed this well. Enrollment is now officially open, and if you use this discount code, which is in the chat, LabWX15, that will give you a 15% discount.
It's now 8 o'clock, and I thought I'd go out for a quick walk. The product's now been on sale for the last 3 hours, and things are going reasonably well. Like, we've sold 200 spots within Productivity Lab out of 500, so that is a good $200,000, or just shy of $200,000. It's probably a little bit less than where I expected or wanted it to be by now. Like, in cohort 1, we'd sold around 250 to 270 odd places at this point, but yeah, I can't really complain. I mean, the target is to sell out 500 spots over the next week or so. So yeah, it's going pretty well. I'm just gonna take a 20-minute walk, and then when I get back, I've got to pack my bag because I've got to leave the house at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning to go to the airport because I'm off to Porto. So yeah. So it's now the end of the day, and I think I'm going to leave this vlog here for today. It's been a fun start to this trip to Porto, and we've got lots of fun things planned throughout the week, but it's hard for me to, I think, vlog everything while I'm in the middle of meetings and talking to people and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to leave the vlog here, but as I said, I would love to hear from you guys whether or not you want me to continue vlogging stuff, and if so, what do you want me to show you? What do you want me to talk about? And yeah, like, what do you want from these vlogs if I were to continue them? I quite like the idea of talking about how I'm trying to grow my own businesses and how I'm trying to help other creators make money through products. I also like the idea of showing my own like learning journey, i.e. the things that I'm learning and thinking about on a daily basis, and also just sharing the ins and outs of my general life, like the places I travel, the people I speak to and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of want to leave it up to you. So if you have any thoughts about the direction you want me to take this vlog, then let me know in the comment section below. Or alternatively, if you think I shouldn't continue with this at all, then that's also good to know. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and I shall catch you next time. Goodbye.